Your late policy, I know that.
What's the late policy?
If you late, you get in charge.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you think because of that, because, there's some controversy on that, like people don't feel like you need to have policies in your business. And you being an IG person, right? I would hope that when you see policy, what do you think about policy? What do you think policy is for? Let's say that.
That's the rules and regulations. It's the standards. Like, this is what I expect from my customers, and this is what you should expect from me. So it lays down guidelines for what should take place in this shop.
Correct.
Yeah, so absolutely you have to have policy.
Absolutely. 100%. Do you think that do you ever respect an establishment that doesn't have policies?
No.
Why not?
Because basically it tells me that I can do whatever and I can say whatever and be and get away with whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't protect the business and it doesn't protect the individual.
Right. Correct. See,
you have a child policy too, right?
I do.
Yeah,
I do have a child policy.
So I read it.
Yeah. You read it a long time ago. Yeah. And so, but people have a hard time with embracing the policy because I think part of it is that they want to do whatever they want to do.
With no consequence.
With no consequence. And then when you give them or uphold the policy in place, for instance, let's just use the late policy, right? So late policy says, all right, if you are give a courtesy call or a text just to say that you're running late. However, if you know that in that time that you're going to be late past 10 minutes, or you're going to be late past 10 minutes, then you know that there's also going to be a charge. I think I changed it at this point to 7 minutes, and I'll tell you the reason why. Okay. But after 10 minutes, you're gonna be hit with a charge. And the charge is usually, hopefully, it's not something outrageous, right? But for me, I think it's $25, right? And then after 15 minutes, but if you're late after 15 minutes, then your appointment has to be canceled, right? Now, people have a hard time with that portion of the policy as well because they're like, well, I made it here in 15 minutes. And I have to explain to them, but 15 minutes makes a huge amount of time.
Because you also have other clients as well that are lined up after,
Correct.
I know how the scheduling goes, and you have to respect them too. Just because you're late doesn't mean that they're going to be late.
Right.
And you're asking, if you're 15 minutes late and they come in here on their scheduled time, then they're mad.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
So it's like a cycle.
I feel like too, if they're rolling in at 15 minutes late in the parking lot, then by the time they get in here, set their stuff down, say hi, sit in the chair, it's pushing 30 minutes late.
Yes, it is. Because you usually have to go to the bathroom. Always gotta go to the bathroom, right? Which we want your bladder to be well, but it does. It makes a huge difference, especially when you're talking about a service that is 2.5 hours. And so policy is really about respecting the boundaries of both you and the client, right? Because you know exactly what's expected of you, vice versa. You know what's expected of me, right? And so, so that has been like a huge issue that I've been seeing on social media is like, I can't believe that she canceled my appointment or he canceled my appointment. But what you fail to realize is that person may be fully booked that day. And so one late person it'll become a ripple effect, right? And then also though, I also will talk about the stylist who doesn't show up. There are stylists who don't show up. Yeah. You've heard some horror stories.
I've seen
right?
I saw some on Facebook not too long ago, actually.
Yeah. So you have so it's about respecting each other's time. And so I always say to the stylists when I'm doing mentoring and stuff with people, with other stylists, like, listen, you also have to adhere to the policy. It's not okay, well, you're late, pay me $25, but then I get to be 45 minutes late when I'm doing your hair and you've been here on time waiting on me. And now all of a sudden, what you got attitude for? No, they have a right because they also may have something planned for their lives or so on and so forth. So I try to at least be fair, if that makes any sense.
No, that does make sense.
Yeah. So that was one of those things that we were talking about as far as policy. What else were we talking about?